Sanctuary, Heavenly Birthstones, Part 12, compiled by Shirley Jean Street and read by Wayne T. Street. A second reason for the changes is that it was often difficult for people to pronounce the names of gems that were foreign to them. Because these changes continued for centuries, the modern names for precious stones cannot be applied to gems in previous centuries. It is important to note that gemstones do occur in practically every color. Take the word beryl. Each stone on this slide is a beryl. 200 years ago, it was used to indicate the sardonyx, while there is ample evidence 6 centuries earlier pointing toward the fact that beryl indicated diamond, or a similar crystal gem. Because of this knowledge, one of the first considerations of a student of the breastplate gemstones is to establish the identity of the stones named in the Bible. The student must look into each stone's origin, weigh up the evidence of its natural history, and try to understand the fictitious or assumed names merchants chose to call them. In order to determine today's names for the breastplate gemstones, Dr. Leslie Harding carefully compared ancient descriptions of precious gems. After taking every detail into consideration, he matched each gemstone to its tribe. What stories the breastplate gems could tell. Yet, when they were inscribed upon the heart of the high priest, they were serene with unchanging beauty. The Lord intends to work this kind of change in his children. It doesn't matter to him if we came from a pit. If we choose to follow Jesus, his beauty will reflect in us. 7 vestments formed the backdrop for the breastplate. Wearing it gave the high priest authorization to act as Israel's chief justice. Here, he represented Jesus' work in the heavenly sanctuary. The breastplate resting on his heart was a reminder that the love flowing from his heart must affect the justice of his decisions. The dimensions of fabric which held the tribal gemstones were 1 span wide and 2 long, folded to form a square. The 4 edges of this doubled piece of material were reinforced by golden braids, which formed a rich border for the fragile cloth. This wall of solid gold enclosed the names of all God's people. A gold ring was fixed at each corner so it could be attached to the ephod. Then it was suspended by 2 golden chains hanging from his shoulder pieces. The upper links of these chains were bounded by blue ribbons to the golden clasps which held the 2 stones on his shoulders. The lower ends were tied, also with ribbons, to golden rings in the upper corner of the breastplate, and then to lower corners of the vest-like garment called the ephod. These stones, the Urim and Thummim, are mentioned 7 times in the Bible. This subject is an elaborate study in itself. The symbolism connected with numbers and colors mentioned in the Bible makes a fascinating topic, as does the significance and correlation of the disciples and the tribes, the New Jerusalem's foundations, stones, and the breastplate stones. For now, the breastplate gemstones and the 12 tribal patriarchs, whose names will eventually be inscribed on the pearly gates of New Jerusalem, are the principal topic. These men represented those who will finally be transformed by grace. Their lives suggest that hereditary flaws need not exclude any person from heaven. Character transformation can make us safe to save. For hundreds of years, the Israelites were slaves to the Egyptians. They were not allowed to serve their God freely. After their exodus, God taught them with signs and symbols, since they had grown accustomed to tangible objects of worship. Exodus chapters 1 through 4.